course, sometimes she beat the dickens out of me, but I still loved her.
Welcome to my podcast, where memories find their voice. Hello, and welcome back to Hearth and Heritage Podcast. On today's special episode, I had the opportunity about 2001 to interview my maternal grandfather. As you will see in this interview, he struggles to answer some of the questions, and that was because he had been recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. You'll also see my grandmother trying to sneak out of the room, but I caught you, Grandma, on candid camera. She had been coughing a lot because she had some bad allergies. Grandma and I helped Grandpa along to answer some of the questions because he begins to forget some of the places and names, people, and that's okay because it was still a wonderful opportunity to do that, and I'm thankful I took it. He'll also be including some stories that are quite humorous. I hope that on today's episode, you will enjoy it and have a wonderful day. And see you next time.
What is your name?
My name is Rayford Harold Cruitt, C-R-U-I-T.
What is your date of birth?
March 6, 1925.
Do you happen to know where you were born?
Escambia County, Alabama.
How old are you today?
76.
What age were you when you married, and whom did you marry?
I don't know nobody but my mother.
Well, what's her name?
Ruth. No Georgia to it, just Ruth. Grandma Cruitt.
Grandma Crit. What was her maiden name?
Well, it was a Collinsworth, wasn't it?
How many children did you have in this marriage?
Well, just two, but Ruth had them.
What were their names?
Johnny and Jane, Johnny and what's her name? Johnny and what's your mama's name?
Jan.
Jan, yeah. Well, she got a middle name, Mom?
Janice K.
Janice K. And Johnny Ray.
When you were married, what were your occupations?
Well, I was a roofer, and I did roofing for a lot of years. And then when bad weather come along, something you couldn't work on top of the house, not if it was raining and snowing. If you did, you'd go sliding down, and so I have to go and find me another job till the winter was over, and finally I wound up working, going to work as a helper in plumbing. After a very short time, I had gotten a license and got a raise in pay. Worked there quite a few years.
When you was growing up, who influenced you the most in your life, and what ways would this person, do them?
My oldest sister, Jeanette, she was my buddy. Of course, sometimes she beat the dickens out of me, but I still loved her.
I guess you kind of answered my next question. Who was your buddy or your best friend when you was growing up?
My oldest sister.
What was your mama and daddy's name?
My mother's was older than me. Dick Cree was Pruitt, and Daddy's name was Ely. What's Daddy's other name, Ruth? Crumpton Pruitt. Is that all?
What were your brothers and sisters' names? If you would start going from the oldest down to the baby.
Freeman Pruitt. Freeman. What was his other name?
Robert Freeman.
Robert Freeman Pruitt. Bernard Truman Pruitt. Jeanette. Ellen Pruitt. And then I come along, and then Emmett Sheen. Little Heathen. Is that about got it? Remember, you got to go to work at 7 in the morning.
I heard that you lived during the Depression years. How did you and your family survive? And maybe if you can remember how old you were, or just a guesstimation.
I was, Jeanette said I was about 9 years, 9 years old when we left Butler Street, and we had a farm, and Daddy always was really good at making tomatoes, and so that's where we made our living. And when we moved uptown, he had a job fixing, installing septic tanks for WPA. That was and then that didn't last very long, and we finally went to Pensacola, and him and Bernard and Freeman all worked over to Naval Air Station, helping to build it and all of that, and then went to Mobile after that, and he worked some over there, but he didn't do a whole lot.
When you were a little boy, what was your favorite holiday? And if it was a time where you received gifts, what kind of gifts would you received? Or would have received? Or would receive?
Christmas was the only holiday I ever heard tell of, and sometime I get an apple and an orange. And me and Jeanette get up and get them full daylight and eat every bit of it.
As of today, what is your advice toward us teenagers? Or what advice would you give us?
Totally, Mark, and try your best to stay out of trouble, and don't drink and don't smoke, and continue to be a good boy like you already are. And they ain't a whole lot I can tell you that, but I can't go out and tell others that, you know. I guess I could, but they wouldn't listen to me, would they?
Maybe. How many grandchildren do you have?
A whole flock of them. Let's see.
Just the grandchildren with the marriage of Grandmom.
Well, Larry was my boy, and I was married before I come to Texas. And she took off and went with another fella and got a divorce. And anyway, those grandkids, there was 3 of them in the room. Where'd you go? Where did she go?
I'm not for sure. Yes, there was 3 of them, I believe.
Okay, but nowadays, the great grandchildren, there's a whole flock of them. I had never seen them. Well, if she did send us a picture of them. Let's see. Larry was my only kid. And then Johnny's got, he's got kids, which is my grandkids, is Jeremy and Jacqueline and Jamie, and the great, let's see, Danelle is the great granddaughter, isn't it? Yeah, and you're my, um, wait a minute, I'm gonna get it. You're my grandson, and I like you. And is that all I got? One more. Oh.
I've never asked this to anyone, and I'm ashamed to not have asked more, and I hope to ask more later on in the future. But I know you've talked about it several times, but do you remember, maybe if you don't remember the exact date, but maybe the year you got saved, maybe the city, state, and maybe the pastor who baptized you, and maybe the church name? I mean, if you know it right off or whatever.
Hunter Memorial Baptist Church in Mobile. No, wait a minute. No, it wasn't in Mobile, it was in Atmore. And I believe the evangelist that come there was Roy Fletcher or something like that. And he really did some preaching, and I was maybe 14 or 15 or 16. Anyway, I'd go with my mama, and anyway, I got saved back in them days. Of course, I lived some bad work times since then, but God has forgiven me for it, because I've asked Him to. But I really wasn't a very good Christian until when I got your grandma as my wife. There was a lot of difference in my life after a while. I don't want to tell you all the things I did wrong. Okay. What are you going to do with all of this?
Keep it.
Let it tear.
Oh, I forgot the most important question.
Oh.
When you met Grandma, do you remember the place where you met, and how did you propose to her?
Of course, I know. She was living, her and Jean both were living in a room and board place. And I'd been working with my uncle out in Garland. He was a tree surgeon. And I did all the climbing and cutting out there, and finally I took off and went to Dallas and went to that place where they were living in a room and board place. And I got I got me a room and board place there, and then I drove a panel delivery truck with all kind of meat and stuff on it to Livy's and big restaurant, and so I got acquainted with Ruth then, and we was all eating at a big old table in there, and she come walking through. And I'd asked somebody what her name was, and they told me. And as she went by, I said, "Hi, Ruth." And but when I proposed, I didn't tie my shoe, and she said yes. Okay. And Jean got married to Carl Haddock quite a while before me and her got married.
All right.
You ready, Carmen? We've been to McCullough, Alabama, in the wagons, the only transportation we had, and one of the rims on old wooden wagon wheels was about to come off. And Daddy cut off down through the woods and run through the water with it, with them, and that made them expand, you know, where it tightened up that metal rim. We got on over, he went over to, he knew them people, but we didn't know who they were. Anyway, he got out and went in the house for them, and they were outside there. And that little girl come out there, and she said, "Hi." And Jeanette said, "Hi." She said, "What's your name?" She said, "Jeanette." The little girl said, "My name's Jeanette too." And she said, "What you got in your arm?" She said, "A doll." "A doll? Can I have it?" "No." "Why not?" "'Cause I want it." And that was about the extent of it. Is that good enough? Okay. Okay, we was coming back, and you just had shafts on it like a buggy, and had one mule hooked to it, you know. And on the underneath the shafts, you know what they are? They're two things that go out like a buggy, you know. And they got a strap underneath, and they call it a belly band. And that thing broke. Me and Jeanette been jumping off of it. Our weight was right on the back of it, and the wheels was way up front. And Mama was sitting up there, and Daddy took the wagon seat out of there, and it had springs in it. And him and Mama and Imogene was up there, and me and Jeanette was sitting. And we was coming from Uncle Willie's over. I think I've showed you where he lived. I might not have. But anyway, all of a sudden them shafts went to going up and down like this. And old Jack, he was just about crazy, and he couldn't hardly stand that. And Daddy had on a Freeman's suit, I think. Anyway, he was out there trying to get the harness loose from that old thing. And so finally he did, and old Jack took off down through the woods. And when the things kept going up like this, Mama turned over and fell out of that blooming thing and had Imogene right up in her arms. And as soon as Daddy got him loose from that, he got tangled up in the stuff a little bit in the suit. Anyway, he come over and got Imogene and took her and climbed the fence and left us out there in the road. If he'd have turned around and come back, he'd probably run over all of us, you know. But that's all it was to it.
Okay. Mr. Walker, Mr. Presley.
I can't talk much about that. I can just walk like them.
Okay, well tell me about the story when y'all was in the fields and it was raining.
Well,
and you was doing the walk, and then show me.
Yeah. Well, there was Mr. Presley and Mr. Walker. And Mr. Presley, he'd walk. Get up. He'd, let's see. You want me to come towards you?
Just go that way.
He'd go like this. And old man Walker, his stride was like this. And just tickle you plumb to death. And we've been down there picking cotton, and it started raining, so we put our sacks of cotton on our shoulder, me and Jeanette and Mama too. And she got so tickled looking at me, and I was going along like old man Presley, you know, and she just was cracking up laughing. And we used to have a big kick out of that. That's all.